Hey guys, thanks for stopping by my channel. Today I'm going to disassemble the handlebars on my Interceptor 650 so I can get ready to install these new bars I got from Biltwell. The bend is a little bit lower than the stock bars, and supposedly they're a little bit longer too. I'm not sure by how much, but when I get the other ones off, I'll lay them side by side and we'll compare them. First, I'm going to remove the mirrors. You can use a 14mm wrench and loosen the retaining nut. Then spin the mirror counterclockwise until it comes out. The mirror on the right side turns clockwise to come out. Now I'm going to remove the balancers from the end of the bars, and you just use a 5mm Allen wrench. Do the same thing to the other side. The next thing I'll do is disconnect the brake switch. If you look at these two wire connectors right here under the master cylinder assembly, these go to the brake switch, and if you pull on them and wiggle them, they'll come off. To remove the master cylinder assembly, these two bolts need to come out, and they're 8mm. Be sure you're holding this side before you take it apart so it doesn't end up falling on the gas tank. When you remove the master cylinder assembly, you want to support it. So I'm going to take it behind the gauges and it's going to rest up against the fly screen. Before I can remove the throttle rotor, I've got to disconnect the throttle cables. And to do that, I'm going to open up the starter switch assembly by taking out this screw right here and this other screw right there. Once you get the screws loose, the top just lifts up. And the wires going to this kill switch, they're not very long, so you can just set it to the side. And there's a little plate right here that'll come out, and you can see the ends of the throttle cables right here. To remove the throttle cables, the first thing I'm going to do is remove the throttle body cover, and to do that you remove these two screws with a 4mm Allen wrench. So you can go ahead and pull these rubber boots down that are at the end of the throttle cables. And I'm going to use a size 12 wrench to loosen these two nuts at the top as much as I can. And then I'm going to loosen these bottom two nuts to where they're all the way off the adjusters. Now I'm going to remove this mounting bracket that's for the throttle body cover. There's a screw behind this hole and there's another screw right here. These screws are really tight, so use the right size screwdriver, that way you don't strip them out. There's two more screws right here I'm going to remove, and they hold the throttle cable bracket. Now you can simply push the throttle cable adjuster up through the throttle cable bracket, and it'll come out the side. Do the same thing over here. After that, you can simply pull down on the throttle cable and bring it around until it lines up with this slot, and it comes right out. Then do the same thing over here. Now if we come back to the handlebars, there's enough slack in the cable now that you can pull it up, line it up with the slot, and it comes right out. Do the same thing with this side. And support this somewhere, that way it's not just hanging. Once you get the cables removed from the throttle rotor, the rotor just slides right off. To remove the switch module on the left-hand side of the bike, it's the same as the right side. You just remove 2 Phillips head screws that are in the bottom. Once you get the screws out of the bottom, you could go ahead and pull up on the top. Don't pull very far because the wires are all up in the front and they don't stretch very far. Once you get it to here, there's a plastic bracket inside. You can push it back and the assembly comes right off. Make sure this is supported somewhere. To get the grip off the left-hand side of the bike, I took some Tupperware and I filled it up with water about halfway and I put a washcloth in it. Then I put it in the microwave for about 1.5 minutes and it's really hot right now. So I'm gonna wrap it around the grip and when the rubber heats up, it should let loose and I should be able to slide it off. The last thing we got to do is disconnect the clutch cable. So I'm going to loosen this retaining nut and then I'm going to spin this all the way up so there's more free play in the lever. So now I'm going to loosen these 2 nuts at the end of the clutch cable on the engine and they're size 12. You want to push this in and loosen this nut all the way forward so you get more free play. Now you can push on the clutch shaft and the cable will slide out the back. Now if we come back to the bars, we need to back this retaining nut off a little bit so we can line up these slots. There's one right here, and there's another one right in front of the lever. Then if we pull on the outer housing of the cable, we can slide the cable through the slot. If you bring the lever forward, you can push down and the cable comes out. There's a switch on the clutch and you've got to remove 2 Phillips head screws to get it out. Once you get the screws out, you can pull straight down. And if it gets hung up, don't pull hard, just jiggle it around and pull a little bit backwards because you don't want to break this switch off right here. The bolt on the clutch lever bracket is a 10mm. You can loosen it up and then it just slides off the end. And now you can use a 6mm Allen head socket to loosen up the bar clamps. Be sure to hold on to the bars once you start loosening the bolts so they don't fall back and hit your tank. Once you get the clamps loose enough, go ahead and lay the bars forward. And now you can take the bolts out one by one. I'm going to hold the bracket down while I take the last bolt out. And I'll grab everything at the same time. When you put the bars next to each other, you can see that the bend on the new bars is a lot lower. And they're not longer like I thought they were, they're actually about 1/2 inch shorter. Well, that's all I've got for today, guys. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already, go ahead, click subscribe, and stay up to date with my latest videos. Well, thanks again, and have a wonderful day.